Okay, this is definitely going to be one of the more philosophical takes in a series already kind of about that, but I'm really curious on something that's been just going through my head a lot lately, is if you can really ever truly learn something without having experienced it yourself. And to me, that what really constitutes that is having undergone something that then you have a personal story, a personal connection to. Something where if someone mentions an instance of something, I don't know, say art, you can instantly remember, hey, that art camp I took, or that art class I took in like 5th grade, that's something I use to identify what art is. It's kind of the representation or the schema that you use in your head for what something is. And to me, that really matters a lot in determining if you've truly experienced or understood something. Because I see a lot of people nowadays who they look at something online, they watch a video, they have all these voices or all these sources of information telling them things, and a lot of that just doesn't seem to really matter, doesn't seem to really stick. And the reason I think so isn't because people aren't paying attention. Sometimes they may not be. But I think the more important thing is, no matter what someone says to you, you won't really understand that. And to a sense, you won't even really believe that, or you won't abide by whatever's been told to you, unless there's an experience that you can use as a foundation, kind of an underlaying framework for you to really take hold of that yourself. For me, that's something where I didn't really trust a whole lot of stuff that was told to me like my freshman year of high school. I went in, I was scared. They said, join a bunch of clubs. You'll feel so bad. You'll regret so much that you didn't join clubs. I didn't join clubs. Freshman year, I joined one club. Sophomore year, I loved it. I didn't join any others. Junior and senior years really when I exploded, started going over to every single club, every day at lunch, every day after school. I was like, hey, please let me do this. And no matter how much people had rallied to me at the start of freshman year, even this one senior who I really had a good connection with, he was a great guy. He was like, join clubs, you'll love it, it's great. That's something where I couldn't really buy into that, because I didn't have the personal experience there to really trust that what he was saying was true. And it's not like I doubted him specifically, and it's not like I had any ill will towards what he was saying. But I really mean to just express how, unless you have developed an understanding yourself, it's a lot harder to pin down what anyone else is saying. And by that extension, I think it's really cool when you identify with something someone else is talking about. Especially a lot now reading through, I have this book over here, that shouldn't be backwards on the video, about, Stoicism, the philosophy of that. And there's a whole lot of points that I know I would not have connected nearly as well to 2 or 3 years ago, because I didn't have the experiences that I do now to really relate as strongly to them. By the same virtue, I think there is something to be said for not just can we really understand something if we haven't experienced it, but what additional understanding do we gain from having a reference point on stuff? And does that allow us to understand other things that we might not seem to have directly experienced? Now, I know that sounds weird, maybe a little contrary, but let me explain that a little. I think in a lot of situations, if you are really taking them to a heartfelt level and potentially looking for things to get out of them, you're going to get something out of them. And even in a way where people will sometimes doubt that you've gotten something beneficial, you've gotten something character developing out of an activity, but I think it's totally possible to. What I mean by that is, really, there can be small things that open up a huge window of development and understanding for you. For that one club I joined sophomore year, it was D&D. Now hear me out. I know I sound like a nerd, but I learned so much from that. I learned how to communicate with other people, be imaginative, learn absolutely outside the box thinking. That box is exploded, bro. I sent it into orbit. I learned social skills. Maybe not universal ones, because D&D, but I learned how to communicate with people, put myself out there, how to work within a group, actually very fundamentally, because that's, D&D campaign, you gotta work with who's with you. And I even learned kind of, patience, how to work through difficult situations and the payoff that comes from finally being rewarded for your efforts. And a lot of that is stuff where I wouldn't think, I don't think anyone would think that you could get so much out of that. But to me, I got an incredible wealth of experience from that one simple thing. And I think in a lot of stuff, we really can glean a deeper understanding through even the most basic things that we do every day. I think from like dance, you could learn the value of putting your best out there. From something like art, you could learn not just creativity, but like an elegance or systematic approach to things. You see what I'm saying? The possibilities are open for a lot more life lessons to be taken from areas in which we would not remotely expect to find those. And I think that's awesome. I think, like, imagine how cool that is, right? You can get so much more out of things and not even have realized it. And then you come back and look at it and you're like, wow, that like transformed my life. That's so cool. I like to leave off on a question with these, so I'll try and do that now. Do you think we need to experience things to understand them? Feel free, contrary points. You saw like a math equation in 7th grade and you're like, okay, I got that, easy. That's my jam. Some people, like, I think, do just connect with things, and especially in like taking in knowledge or input, some people just, bam, it's good, they got it. I would even want to question, though, just as a quick counter argument now, if that's based solely on, intuiting it and figuring it out in the moment, or if there's stuff before that laid that foundation for it. But again, feel free, point out stuff, might be wrong, go ahead and tell me. And then second of all, it's just anything cool that you can think of, experiences that gave you completely new understanding principles, and, things that developed you in ways you wouldn't remotely have expected. Because I think that's always fun. We need to break the mold of the cookie cutter, like being on student council makes you responsible. I mean, I couldn't. Like, there's so much more nuance there. And I want to see the interesting things. Of course, if you have something cool to share and it might fit that model of, kind of standard things we expect, go ahead and share it. I'm fine with that. But, whatever you want. It's your comment section, not mine. Like, go ahead.